I wanted to go over 5 dream matchups that I think I would like to see, and I think a lot of people would like to see as well. Dream matchups from teams of the past going against each other. And I'm going to start it off with the 2018 Clemson Tigers against the 2022 Georgia Bulldogs. Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne against Stetson Bennett and George Pickens and that Georgia defense. I don't know necessarily who I would take in this because I think they're both evenly matched. That Georgia defense was something else back in 2022, but that Clemson offense with Trevor Lawrence in 2018, when everybody thought Alabama was going to kick their ass with Tua and Bama thought they were going to kick Clemson's ass that year. And Clemson came out and smacked them around the football field for 3.5 hours. I have witnessed very few times in my life a Nick Saban team get boat raced, and that's exactly what Clemson did to them that year. They boat raced them. And personally, I would take the 2018 Clemson Tigers. I would basically specifically over the quarterbacks. You have Stetson Bennett, who I don't think is necessarily a bad quarterback, but at college Trevor Lawrence, that's just another worldly talent. We all knew he was going to be a first-round pick the second he started a game for the Clemson Tigers. So, I think the 2018 Clemson Tigers would take down the 2022 Georgia Bulldogs. All right, another one that I've thought of recently. The 2005 Texas Longhorns, led by Vince Young and they also had Jamal Charles as a freshman, versus the 2014 Buckeyes with Cardell Jones, Ezekiel Elliott, and Michael Thomas. So here's the thing. When I talk about the 2014 Buckeyes, the way to their national championship was very different from a lot of other teams that have won it in the past. Braxton Miller was their starting quarterback at the beginning of the year, but he got injured before the season even started. So we didn't know how Ohio State was going to be. Then in comes JT Barrett, and he looks like a Heisman winner. JT Barrett was a great, great quarterback for the Buckeyes. And then he gets hurt before the conference championship game. So in comes third-string Cardell Jones. Well, him and Ezekiel Elliott put the Buckeyes on their back and boat raced Wisconsin, boat raced Alabama, and then boat raced Oregon in the Natty. Personally, I don't think the 05 Longhorns, this is a hot take because 05 Texas is widely considered one of the top 3 best college football teams of all time. And I can agree with that statement partially. But when in a one-on-one matchup between teams, I can definitely see this 2014 Buckeyes team take down the 05 Texas Longhorns. I'm not really worried about the quarterbacks in this case because Texas struggled in that national championship game against USC. They struggled against Reggie Bush and Lendale White. And I think Reggie Bush is the best college football running back ever. But Ezekiel Elliott in that tear that year for the Buckeyes was on a tear. That man against Reggie Bush, when it comes to stats, like I said, I think Reggie Bush is the best college running back of all time, but I definitely think the 14 Buckeyes beat the 05 Texas Longhorns. 2019 LSU versus 2020 Alabama. Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Thaddeus Moss versus Mac Jones, Mac Jones, Jalen Waddle, Devonte Smith, Najee Harris. This is a real close matchup, but I would lean with the 2019 LSU Tigers because I think they're the second best team in college football history. Both teams, both 2020 Bama and 2019 LSU, they both dominated people left and right. They left zero, room for doubt when it came to the national championship games, especially. LSU in 2019 absolutely humiliated Trevor Lawrence and the Clemson Tigers. And in 2020, Alabama beat the brakes off of a Ohio State team who was limping into that game. So personally, I think the LSU Tigers would take this just because, especially because of the quarterbacks. You have Joe Burrow and then you have Mac Jones. I think it's such a very evenly matched team. I think they're very evenly matched, but I would give the edge to LSU because their defense was otherworldly stacked that year too. So second to last hypothetical matchup. Imagine the 2010 Auburn Tigers led by Cam Newton against the 2008 Florida Gators led by Tim Tebow. See, that's something I would have always loved to see. I think we got that maybe once in NFL. I don't remember that far back when it comes to the NFL that year. I know they were both rookies, I think, in the same year. But personally, this is a tough way. I can go either way. These are two of probably two of the four greatest SEC quarterbacks of all time. Cam Newton in 2010 was basically Super Cam before Super Cam became the term. And Tim Tebow was basically automatic on the goal line and truly unstoppable. Both Heisman Trophy winners. But I would lean with the 2008 Gators just because they had more offensive firepower, especially with guys like Percy Harvin. As much as I love Cam Newton and as much as I thought that Auburn team was great, even they do have Michael Dyer at running back, but I would take the 08 Gators over the 2010 Auburn Tigers because Auburn had some scares, especially against Alabama, but the 08 Gators stomped everybody. And then the final one we're going to talk about, this is probably a dream matchup. Arguably the greatest college football team in history, the 2001 Miami Hurricanes versus the 2005 USC Trojans. So you got the Miami Hurricanes in 01, led by Ken Dorsey at quarterback, and just a plethora of talent. And then you got USC, led by Matt Leinart at quarterback, and a plethora of talent. So here's the thing. I think Miami of 2001 goes toe-to-toe against every team in the history of college football, and I think they beat them. Not convincingly. Not every one of them would be convincing, but I definitely think the 01 Miami Hurricanes team would take down 05 USC. And a lot of people said who would have won 01 Miami or 19 LSU. I think 01 Miami still would have, but LSU would have gave them a run for their money. But it's no contest that the 2001 Miami Hurricanes is the greatest college football team ever assembled. You got to think about it. You had Ken Dorsey at quarterback, who only lost 2 games in his entire college career. Realistically, should have lost none. You have a 3-headed monster at running back, Clinton Portis, Willis McGhee, and Frank Gore. You had Najee Davenport at fullback. Then you had Andre Johnson and Darryl Jones at wide receiver. You had Jeremy Shockey and Kellen Winslow as the tight ends, Kellen Winslow Jr. A stout, probably the best offensive line in all of college football that year. You had Vince Wilfork on the defensive front seven. You had DJ Williams and Johnathan Vilma at running back. Philip Buchanan and Mike Rumpf at cornerback, and Antrell Roll. And you also had probably the best safety of all time and someone who would have been the best safety of all time in Ed Reed and Sean Taylor. I'm sorry, I don't think USC with Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush, and Lendale White could go toe-to-toe with the 01 Hurricanes. I think the 01 Hurricanes are the greatest team of all time, and I think the 01 Hurricanes, maybe not convincingly, but I believe that the 01 Hurricanes would beat USC convincingly. Maybe not an entire blowout, maybe not like a 40-point game, but I think the 01 Hurricanes would beat 05 USC probably by at least 2 touchdowns.